by your New England Ford dealers and by Amica Insurance.
Dale Arnold, Gord Kluzak, Billy Jaffe back here in our NESN studios. All right, let the mockery begin. Go ahead. We've started our locks of the week. Go ahead and start killing me already on this thing.
I'm not going to mock you at all, especially the way that I was last year. So Kluz has won it before. I'm sure you can claw a little bit.
Well, Dale, I just think that you don't want to get off to the Rangers-like start. So I'm really hoping that we have the right one here today.
Yeah, I think we're probably in a... I had a 3-0 lead. I had Chicago over Tampa. They lost in a shootout.
Can they get Billy and my photographs updated a little bit?
No, keep it like that. I mean, please. That's like memories right there. I had to use shampoo.
That's not that long ago. That's what really stinks. Anyway.
Well, we've got some afternoon hockey action to bring you. The Bruins, their first road game of the season in Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets. We head back out to Columbus and bring back in Jack and Brick.
Dale, thanks. Today's starting goalies are brought to you by your local New England Audi dealers. Experience Audi Quattro all-wheel drive today. The Bruins get plenty of traction when Tuukka Rask is in the net. Lifetime against Columbus, 3-1, a .942 save percentage, and a sub-2 goals against average. Sergei Bobrovsky's home goals against average in his Vezina season of 2013 was also under 2 at 1.64. He was 12-3-5 in this building with 3 shutouts. Patrice Bergeron will center Brad Marchand and Louis Eriksson to get things going. Seidenberg and Chara, the opening defensive pair. Ryan Johansson to take the faceoff. The game is on. The Bruins take great pride in not losing 2 in a row, and they usually try very hard to correct the things with which they weren't satisfied in the defeats, Brick.
Yeah, the way they played in the second and third periods in the most recent game against Colorado, the 2-0 loss, is the way they want to play the entire game here this afternoon against Columbus.
Bartkowski switches on for Chara right off the opening draw and wins a puck battle against Johansson. Johansson gets it back. R.J. Umberger runs into a solid Seidenberg body check. Just stood up Johansson as he turned the net with speed. Bergeron battling for the puck in the neutral zone. Now Seidenberg turns his goal. Johnny Boychuk. The pass behind David Krejci in the neutral zone. Jerome McGinley to Krejci below the dot. Turns it back to Krug and it hops over his stick at the blue line. Now he dumps it in deep. Dalton Prout paired with Jack Johnson on D. This puck deflects up over Raskin into the protective netting.
A lot of concern about Louis Eriksson and his start. It's only been 3 games, and you have to preach patience, but some of that systemic stuff that we were talking about is there he is in the middle of the defensive zone and coverage, and when that puck turns over, instead of making a beeline over to the right wing boards and allow Bergeron to have space in the middle of the ice, he's right on top of Bergeron right there. Maybe not the best example of some of the changes and the things that you have to make, changes in your game to adapt to the way the Bruins style of play is. Eriksson needs to be a little bit wide there in order to create more options for the Bruins on the breakup.
Lucic absorbs the bump from Dalton Prout, whips the puck to Krejci. He gives it back to McQuaid, who's celebrating his 27th birthday this afternoon. Carl Soderberg is exactly a year older, also celebrating a birthday today.
And Jack, just to finish that thought, the opening comment about how the Bruins want to play this afternoon, meaning the second and third period against Colorado, and that has established the forecheck. And in order to do that, they have to have their structure in the neutral zone. We highlighted in that Colorado game, Matt Duchene walking through the middle of the neutral zone with speed. There was too much room early on in that hockey game, so better structure in center ice in order to get pucks in deep behind the Columbus defense in order to establish that forechecking game.
18.5 minutes to go in the first period. We don't have our usual score line going because, the electronics don't respond well to afternoon games. Boychuk back to retrieve the puck. The icing waved off, and Boychuk turns the net with speed. Runs into some traffic in the neutral zone. Eriksson shields the puck and throws it in deep. Artem Anisimov, who came over in the Nash trade, giving it away, and Marchand with a point-blank chance from the side. James Wisniewski works it out of the zone and chucks it off glass. McQuaid, D to D to Chara. Straight ahead to Bergeron. He hoists it into the corner and peels off. Caron on the forecheck. Gives Teuton a hard time. Now here comes Marian Gaborik working Torrey Krug's side of the ice. Throws it into the middle to Callahan. Or rather Dubinsky. I get my grinding Rangers mixed up. But of course now he's with the Blue Jackets. Brandon Dubinsky. And it goes off a stick and up out of play.
People around here in Columbus said that the addition of Dubinsky in that deal for Nash going to the Rangers, he changed the culture of their work ethic as an organization. Now that's big-time stuff when you have that kind of reputation.
One might argue that the culture of the Rangers also changed when he got traded away. They missed him. They really missed him. Teuton slides the puck to David Savard. Here comes Caron out of the zone. Teuton with the active stick. And there is Dubinsky scooping the puck forward. It gets turned back at the blue line. Dubinsky steps into the zone, gets double teamed. Here's Gaborik swooping onto it. Wrists it over the top, gets his own rebound and almost chips it inside the post. But Rask was there to block it. Caron feels the pressure coming, gets it to Smith, back to Caron in the neutral zone. Boychuk over the red line, drills it toward the zone, but it deflects and bounces off a stick. Jared Bull, tough customer who plays the game with a great deal of respect from his teammates. Got in a well-placed scrap with the notorious Patrick Kaleta a couple of nights ago in Buffalo after Kaleta came at least half the distance of the ice to put a headshot on Jack Johnson, and Bull was immediately there to respond.
Yeah, pretty predatory move by Kaleta.
He'll probably be paying the price for that. Blake Como in the corner, the former Islander. Now Derek McKenzie, who's got a lot of sandpaper in his game. James Wisniewski has the puck pop up and over his stick. Here's Wisniewski. You may remember him from his days with Montreal. Umberger gets underneath. Krejci takes the shot, but again, Rask was square to the shot and didn't give much. Seidenberg moves the puck to Bartkowski. You can see how Columbus will try to use its speed. Lucic spins the puck back to Bartkowski.
Yeah, Krejci was actually in pretty good shape defensively. It was a good read in center ice. Thought he had puck possession, but Umberger got on him quick. Long reach, made the steal.
Bartkowski indirect to Krejci. Krug rescues the puck and keeps on going. Krejci wrists it down through the corner. Here's Jerome McGinley. Banging bodies against Prout. Jack Johnson straight ahead. Nick Foligno gives it away inside the line. A good reach by McGinley to keep the rush active for the moment. Krejci flicks it right to Prout. Foligno spins off Marchand. Foligno had a grinder's beauty of a goal against Buffalo a couple of nights ago. Off Tyler Myers' stick. Off of Weber's skate and past Ryan Miller. They're all beautiful when they go up on the scoreboard. That's the way Foligno will play, though. David Savard, D to D to Fedor Teuton. Teuton off the wall. And it's Boone Jenner wearing number 38, getting his first action of the season for Columbus. Bergeron's pass finds Teuton's stick. He knocks it back to center. Letestu scoots it around. Jenner takes the hit from McQuaid, and Krug takes the puck unopposed as Columbus gets new bodies on the ice.
That's a pretty good example of a good hit by McQuaid. Even though Jenner's got his back to him, there's a way to go in and make body contact off the back on the angle.
Part of the culture change that the NHL is trying to supervise in the midst of players' careers who may have learned a different style. Cam Atkinson and Johnny Boychuk into the corner. Chara chips it around. Caron can't clear the zone. Gaborik using his speed to bottle up the Bruins breakout for a moment. Riley Smith deflects it, but it comes right to Dubinsky. He sends it in deep. Al Boychuk sends it around through the corner. Gaborik is there against his Olympic teammate Chara. They bump hard. Kelly nudges the puck to Boychuk. He's got Smith available on the wing. Decides to go back behind the net to Chara as Columbus changes out. A good shift for the Blue Jackets. Some extended zone time. in the Boston end. Sean Thornton tries to get the puck deep, and McKenzie intercepts, lobs it past Thornton, and it scoots all the way through to Bartkowski. Seidenberg, indirect hard pass. Paille in behind Bobrovsky, who reaches out and stops the puck. Paille jumps right on it. Prout has a little bit of trouble there. Here's the second layer with Thornton. Now Paille spins off the McKenzie hit. The puck goes loose. Prout goes indirect up the boards. Bull just gets it the heck out of there. It's going to be icing against the Blue Jackets.
Some inadvertent contact back behind the play. Last shift. Just want to make mention of it right now. Riley Smith trying to get it on the forecheck. Now he's got to get back on the back check. He's trying to step between the post and goalie Bob. And Bobrovsky goes down. The referee had a real good look at it, but didn't think it was worth a penalty.
As a former forward, I would think that you would say, hey, he's got a right to his path, right?
Sure. That's why there was no call.
Bartkowski with possession, and McGinley will go to the box. Blue Jackets on the power play when the game resumes.
Jarome Iginla in the box. Interference right off the face-off. Just trying to run a little pick on Bull. Bull's going to help this call along. Just that little bit of body contact off the draw on a puck possession play. A play that the Bruins won the face-off, but it works against them. They'll be shorthanded because of the penalty to Iginla.
Artem Anisimov will take the face-off to begin the power play. Marian Gaborik, 3 times a 40-goal scorer, wearing number 10 along the boards. Cam Atkinson, who does a lot of scrapping and uses his quickness in front of the net. James Wisniewski has the puck here with Jack Johnson at the points. Wisniewski with 10 points in his last 9 games against the Bruins for a variety of teams. Most of that coming with Montreal. Gaborik tumbles over Kelly's stick. Crowd looking for a call. Atkinson brings it back to Johnson. Johnson cocks. Now Wisniewski with the drive. Tipped in front of Anisimov, redirecting it past the post. Johnson comes off the boards. The crowd trying to get the Jackets going. Johnson holds the puck. Campbell comes out to face him. Boychuk with the block. Wisniewski gets it back to Johnson. Gaborik, who's come out to the top of the circle. Going against Chara, cross ice. Wisniewski to Johnson, the blast, and Kelly took that one in the chest. That one really hurt. There's not a whole lot of padding up there.
Yeah, that puck was elevated early to be that close to Johnson on the slap shot. Kelly still took that puck up high, but a well-designed play initially when they set up Wisniewski for the one-timer, looking for the redirect by Anisimov in the slot.
Dubinsky can't penetrate the zone with possession. Wisniewski chops it far side. It's now Umberger, Johansson, and Dubinsky up front. Still Wisniewski and Jack Johnson, the defensive pair. Seidenberg puts on a hit. Here's Johnson at the left wing boards. Gets it around Bergeron. Dubinsky down to the half boards with Johansson high slot. Johnson whips it to Wisniewski. Cocks and fires, looking for the deflection. Johansson with the redirect could never get it through the traffic to Rask. Johansson double teamed on the boards. McQuaid comes through, and Marchand snaps the loose puck clear.
Yeah, big read right there. Nice reaction. McQuaid, the last layer, good read, was aggressive, created the turnover. Bruins have spent a lot of this power play or penalty killing situation for them in their own zone.
Feder Tootin runs hard into the Boychuk check, but here's Dubinsky, the shot, and the Bruins are getting the sticks in the way. Columbus with some looks, but not a whole lot of offerings that have gotten through the Rask.
Yeah, twice they used that high slot redirect as a design play. Johnson with a fake shot. There's Wisniewski for the one-timer with Anisimov working the front. And then when they get the puck back to Johnson for a big-time one-timer, look at Kelly just stepping right into the shooting lane. Knows that puck's coming, but you expect it to be shin pad high. That puck was taken off. Got him a little higher up.
Iginla, 500-plus goal scorer in his career, getting ready to hop out of the box. So if the Bruins can get a clear, that's a great chance. One shot on goal during the power play. It has expired, and here's Iginla fresh out of the penalty bench. Chara D to Boychuk, Lucic and Krejci, the other forwards, joining Iginla on the ice for Claude Julien, who is coaching in his 700th game as an NHL head coach this afternoon. Iginla to Krejci. It bounces up on him. Savard knocks the puck to the corner. Tootin after it. Krejci to Iginla. Tries to shove it back to the center, but can't. Blake Comeau has good position on Lucic. Turns toward the middle, and Lucic whacks the puck away. David Savard off the end boards Tootin up the wall. Letestu free to Como. Tries to go cross ice. And there's Lucic conscientiously getting back. Whipping it forward to Iginla. He'll sizzle it around through both corners. The Bruins change out.
Yeah, just the effort right there by Lucic, but the presence of mind to know I'm third man high. I need to rotate back through the neutral zone, middle of the ice. And when McQuaid fell down, Lucic was in a great spot.
Campbell is on the ice with Caron and Riley Smith. Perhaps a sign that Chris Kelly is dinged up after blocking the shot on the penalty kill. So Campbell skating in the spot where Chris Kelly usually is. Here's Campbell looking for the puck in the middle to Riley Smith. Double deflection. It finally rattles out to Dubinsky. Now he gets it ahead to Atkinson, to Gaborik. Tosses it toward Atkinson. The spin off the line. The drive goes well wide off the corner boards and all the way down the ice as Ryan Murray stepped into it hard.
Yeah, nice timing by the young defenseman. Timed it well, was moving forward, and you get a lot on a drive and a one-timer in that situation if you have the timing.
Murray just 20 years old, the number 2 overall pick in 2012. Bergeron, the short backhand for Eriksson, who's looking to get on track, and he whips it on Bobrovsky to get an attacking zone faceoff. 9:06 to go in the first period. We'll try to keep track of Chris Kelly when we come back to Nationwide. Today's key matchup brought to you by Honda. This top line has a variety of attributes.
A total of 11 points between the three of them, put together a couple of games ago. Of course, Marian Gaborik on the right side, that left-handed shot. Always been a dynamic offensive player. We've already talked about Dubinsky and his work ethic, but he's a three-zone guy. Plays the middle, sets the tempo for this line. And then Cam Atkinson. Obviously, Bruins fans that are BC hockey fans are well-versed in his abilities. And, Jack, how did you describe him earlier? Just around the puck all the time.
Yep. Really quick, fearless, and often underrated. But he was all Frozen 4 for BC. 2011 All-American. Louis Eriksson gets good body position, helping Bergeron to win the puck and rattles off a skate. Marchand goes corner against Prout. Marchand nudges it out in front of himself. Prout follows up after Nick Foligno's check on Marchand. Now Bartkowski in a rush for the puck. Rask comes out, tried to spill it away from the pressure of R.J. Umberger.
You know, the Bergeron line trying to establish that forechecking game, the cycling game. They had the puck in the offensive zone. Couldn't get a clear look, really, at Bobrovsky. Something we talked about at the top of the broadcast in the open is that the overload kind of defense that Columbus tries to use in their own zone. They try to outnumber you around the puck, which means points will be open, especially the weak side defensemen, and that's where the Bruins should be looking to move the puck if they have opportunities.
Campbell and Letestu on the face-off to the left of Tuukka Rask. Shots on goal are just 2-1 in favor of the Bruins. I mistakenly said that Columbus had a shot on goal during its power play. It did not. Kangaroo Court will probably find me for that, huh? It's.
I know one thing. You got the money.
The kitty is just huge already. It's not humongous big, but it's huge. Gregory Campbell. Campbell finds Thornton. Thornton hammers it around and rides hard along the boards. Campbell scoops it toward the middle, and Anisimov is there. He chips it back to the far side. Boone Jenner coming cross ice with it. Krug gets tied up in the traffic with Letestu. McQuaid takes a big hit from Jenner to scoot it around to Paille. Here comes Paille. Good back pressure from Derek McKenzie. Deprives Paille of a little bit of time and space. Now Krug in a race against McKenzie. Krug to Seidenberg. Jared Bull throwing weight around against Sean Thornton. There they go. They grapple tight. These two guys control. Neither able to get free. You can see Bull trying to get Thornton's famous left-hand lock away from his sweater. He hasn't been able to land anything yet. Thornton trying to wait him out. Thornton goes over the top and connects. A lot of Bruins fans in the stands. Not much damage done. And Bull shaking his head saying, that didn't hurt. And the linesman will step in and break him up.
Two pretty strong guys, two real good tacticians when it comes to the fisticuffs. Nobody can really get unleashed to get a decided advantage. I thought this might have happened earlier in the hockey game when they locked up in the neutral zone with body contact. Well, it had to wait till we were about 12 minutes into this hockey game when they locked up against the wall. They went back at each other a couple of times before the gloves came off.
Jared Bull, for every 82 NHL games he has played in his career, has averaged 204 penalty minutes. He is no stranger to danger. But I'll tell you something, when Coletta came across and picked the head of Jack Johnson a couple of nights ago in Buffalo, if you're watching the Buffalo feed, which we were, you literally could see Bull's gloves flipping up through the bottom of the frame. That's how quick the reaction was. He's a guy that has earned the A on his sweater. Lucic's bad angle shot. Bobrovsky is square to it. Krejci scoots through the corner. Boychuk shatters his stick. Foligno tries to take advantage as Boychuk picks up a new stick on the bench. Umberger's pass back to Johnson. Lucic goes body to body against him. Umberger banks the pass to Johnson. Johnson throws it toward goal. Chara on the block. Prout hammers the puck in deep. Chara working on the end boards. Now Ginla back there, pinning in Foligno. Johansson and Ginla. Johansson tries to angle for a little bit of space. Chara goes flying over Johansson's stick. He won't get a call there. Nobody pities Goliath. Lucic chips it in behind Prout and finishes his check, decking Prout. Prout's checking the inventory right now. Yeah, it's all still there. Here's Atkinson. Wrists it all around. Now Seidenberg. Kelly has returned to the ice after a brief visit to the Bruins room. Bartkowski has Riley Smith up the boards. Kelly in the middle of the ice. Bartkowski gets to the red line. Rattles it off the corner glass. Caron with a good hit far side. Kelly scoops it back to Caron. He gloves the puck down but can't do much with it. Now here's Wisniewski. Wisniewski into the skates of Gabrick right in front of his own goal. And Murray had to save it. Dubinsky takes a big hit and knocks down Seidenberg in the process. Dubinsky has that sense that the contact is coming in. He's one of those guys like Patrice Bergeron that when he's on his game, he sets the edges and he'd rather be the hitter than the hittee.
Yeah, and the timing was in his favor. Got rid of the puck well before Seidenberg got there.
Eriksson with the drive from the wing boards. Now it's Caron. Eriksson makes a nice play off the skates to Krug walking in. He digs. He gets Bobrovsky down. It's underneath Bobrovsky. And when they pull him off the puck, where will it be? Outside the line. 5:14 to go in the first. Bruins starting to find an attacking rhythm in a matinee in Columbus.
No score, 5:14 to go first period. We talked about Columbus and the way they try to protect in their own zone and they overload one side of the ice. We talked about the weak side defenseman being open. There's the middle of the ice in the defensive zone for Columbus. They have 5 players on that side of the ice. That leaves Torrey Krug in this case wide open to walk in. He tries to outweight Bobrovsky to the forehand. Bobrovsky does a nice job of holding his ground and taking away that short side, but that's a play Boston can look for more and more of in the offensive end.
Brad Marchand onto the far side. Krug letting it go. McQuaid chips in through the corner. Eriksson battling for the puck. Bergeron with some quick stick work down the boards. Marchand shields the puck away from David Savard. The wrist shot from Krug deflected on Bobrovsky. He makes the save. McQuaid jumps up to knock the puck past Jenner. Savard D-to-D to Tootin. Up ahead, Jenner ridden off by Krug. Here's Eriksson with a quick re-entry. Bergeron on the boards. Tips the pass down for Eriksson in the corner. Marchand, it deflects back to McQuaid. Bergeron with a redirection, couldn't get it on goal. Krug Down on the boards with Bergeron rotating to the point. Erickson spins it into Marchand, skates on the end wall. Tootin working him over, backhands the puck, but not out. Here's McQuaid's shot. The blocker stopped by Bobrovsky. Bruins starting to get some good traffic as Bobrovsky gets late looks at best. McQuaid comes off the boards, wrists it toward goal. No traffic that time. Bobrovsky saw it all the way in.
A pretty good battle going on between Tootin and Marchand. Good shift by the Bergeron line. The Bruins use a number of set plays right off draws to try to get instant offense. We've seen this a number of times. Milan Lucic right here on the left wing. He's going to fan out as if he's going to the wall, and then he curls right back to the middle of the ice in order to get open. And Chara looks up the wall as if he's going to go indirect, and then that seam opens up just inside the dot. Pretty good effort right there. Offense right off a face-off. Everybody on the same page can be highly effective. Louis Erickson was one of the guys, Jack, that actually had the initial tip on the shot from the point that Bobrovsky had to track and make a pretty good save. But the Bruins, almost on cue, we were talking about it, points will be open the way Columbus defends in their own end.
Lucic with a huge hit on Johnson to produce the turnover. Ginla was picking up the driftwood after he had his stick knocked out of his hands in a collision. Bartkowski's one-timer out of the glove of Bobrovsky. Johnson jumps on the puck, but Bartkowski takes it again. Columbus having a heck of a time getting the puck out of its own end. The Bruins out shooting the Blue Jackets 7-1. Matt Bartkowski rattles it off a leg. Krejci couldn't touch the puck. He was offside. Rout goes D-to-D to Johnson. Gaborik circling to the right in the neutral zone. It's off Dubinsky's skate. Atkinson has to come back to his own side of the red line, and the Blue Jackets regroup. As the Bruins change out, it's the Campbell line coming over the boards. Caron skating in Sean Thornton's spot on the right wing as Thornton continues to serve 5 for fighting. Daniel Paille in his usual spot on the left wing. Over the line, it's Como, the long wrist shot, and a good look for Tuukka Rask. An easy save.
Yeah, nice play by the rookie, or the youngster, I should say, Murray, the defenseman jumping up into that play. Don't miss any of the hard-hitting action and the excitement of Bruins hockey at TD Garden during the month of October. Limited tickets and executive suite rentals are available for this season's must-see matchups. To purchase tickets or rent a suite, visit BostonBruins.com.
And Ryan Murray does still qualify as a rookie.
Okay. Got hurt last year, didn't he?
Yeah, and it's a 25-25 rule. 25 years old and fewer than 25 games on the 15th of September going into each season. That dictates whether you're considered a rookie and eligible for the Calder Trophy or not. Johnny Boychuk ahead to Gregory Campbell. Derek McKenzie. Here's Wisniewski. Off the stick of Campbell. McKenzie scrapes it down Bartkowski's side. Boychuk takes it. Bartkowski cautious against Derek McKenzie, and Blake Como with a good read to get inside the passing lane against Johnny Boychuk. Now here's McKenzie in the corner. Bartkowski goes over and deflects it up into the netting. The face-off in the Boston end of the ice.
Yeah, speaking of those rules for rookies, didn't Peter Stastny win the Rookie of the Year?
Yeah,
his first
like year. He was 27 years old or something. Maybe even older than that. I don't know. We were talking about rules before the game, and the Calder. I mean, the Vezina used to be awarded on a team-by-team basis. So there were all kinds of goalies who never played in the playoffs after so-called winning the Vezina on the strength of the starter. But Sergei Bobrovsky is the first since they changed the rules to make it an individual award to win the Vezina on a non-playoff team. But he did it, and as you said before the game, he was deserving of it. It was kind of a weird year, a small sampling, but Bobrovsky was red hot all season long. Seidenberg trying to work over Umberger with no success. David Savard takes the care of him off the boards. Penalty coming against Boston. Johansson forward to the goal line. Bergeron wipes him out in the corner. Possession for Seidenberg, and the call is coming for holding.
Yeah, it's going to be on Bergeron. He got locked up in a one-on-one battle in coverage. And Johansson just trying to get the referee's attention. Has those arms up in the air saying, hey, I'm being held, I'm being hooked. This is the coverage going on. A free-hand grab or the stick locked in, however you want to describe this. And in the eyes of the official, this is a penalty on Bergeron. Columbus had good puck possession on their first power play in the Bruins zone. That's what they'll be looking to do here. Minute 42 to go in the first period. Bruins will be short-handed.
Artem Anisimov to take the face-off against Jerome McGinley.
Well, we'll see if Columbus tries to get the puck in the hands of Gaborik a little bit more on this power play instead of looking for that one-timer and redirect in the high slot.
McGinley and Kelly, the penalty killers up front, with Chara and Boychuk, the defensive pair. Jack Johnson in stride over the line. Wisniewski holds it along the boards with pressure from McGinley. Johnson working his way down the boards. Wisniewski moves toward the middle of the line, sends it across to Gaborik. Gaborik holding all the way down to the corner. Wisniewski alone out top. Johnson's one-timer scores! Jack Johnson on a bullet from the top of the right circle. A power play goal. And it's 1-0 for the Blue Jackets.
Well, better than 20% on their power play coming into this afternoon's action, and you can see why. They got good puck movers, and Wisniewski and Johnson on the back end. They can play on the regular side, they can get on their offsides, and then when you throw Gaborik in the mix with his mobility and the threat of his shot, you create the umbrella, you got a number of real good options. And this is a drive, almost looked like Chara said, I'm in the shooting lane, and I'm going to spin off and allow my goaltender to handle this drive, but it's just got too much on it with a little bit of traffic. Anisimov gets there with timing. And as he moves through the eyes of Rask is just trying to make a positional save and let it hit that pad, but it's inside the post.
1 minute to go in the opening period. And the Bruins, who outplayed Columbus for much of this first period, need to rally if they don't want to go to the room down by one or maybe two. Here's Foligno closing. It's off Seidenberg's stick all the way to the far corner. Torrey Krug kicks it ahead. Johansson down the boards. Foligno goes right toward goal. Takes it around back of the goal. Now Foligno turns away. Johansson throws it right in front. Umberger reaching to his face. Maybe he caught a stick up high, and perhaps the Bruins got away with one. Krug bumps hard against Umberger. Umberger to Johansson. Marchand pokes it away. Final 20 seconds of the period. Tootin puts the body on Marchand, and the Bruins can't penetrate the attacking zone. David Savard with a 70-foot pass to Foligno. Foligno off the boards. Dubinsky self-pass around Chara, but he's going 1 against 3. Krejci with a soft bump. Now Boychuk rides Dubinsky, who maintains possession as the horn sounds to end the first. And they're on their feet cheering in Columbus as the Blue Jackets survive a bit of a storm from the Bruins, at least a good thunder shower, and come out of the first 20 minutes up by 1.
The timing of when you score on your power play opportunities, and even though Columbus had 2 opportunities in that first period to score late in the final minute, tough call goes against Bergeron in coverage in his own zone, but it's when you score power play goals that can have an impact on a hockey game, win or lose.
Gord and Billy are in the studio with Dale, and Dale, wasn't the prettiest period for the Bruins. There's a little bit of slop there.
There was a little bit of slop, and as we welcome you in.
Boston Bruins Hockey on NESN is brought to you by Subaru of New England, by Kettle One, by Toyota, by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts, by your New England Audi dealers, and by TD Bank, America's most convenient bank. Alongside Andy Brickley with Jamie Earl at ice level and our NESN production crew, I'm Jack Edwards. It's a matinee at Nationwide Arena in Columbus, Ohio. The Blue Jackets have the only goal of the game, a late first period power play score to take a 1-0 lead into the second. The Geico Road ahead. The Bruins will travel back to Boston after this afternoon's game. They will host Detroit in a game on the day we celebrate Columbus Day, although this is a literal Columbus Day game on the 12th of October. And then the Florida road trip, Thursday and Saturday. Bring a little extra cash for greens fees. Somebody. And then the Limping Peacock gets in the act a couple of times on Wednesdays later in the month, but we'll have all the rest of them for you. Claude Julien, 700 games behind the benches of the Montreal Canadiens, New Jersey Devils, and most successfully the Boston Bruins. And a pretty shiny winning percentage. You don't usually inherit the kind of stuff that, say, Mike Babcock inherited when he moved from Anaheim to Detroit.
Yeah, and kudos to Peter Chiarelli after the hire of Dave Lewis, the 1 year, and things did not go well, and to have the conviction to pull the trigger on a guy that's still got 3 more years to go on his deal, and bring in a guy like Claude. And it was interesting to note, a couple of weeks back, that story about the conversation Claude had with Peter prior to the hiring of Dave Lewis, and the timing of when he would be available as things unfolded.
First period summary was brought to you by your New England Ford dealers. And although they have made popular targets quite often, tip of the cap to the Jacobs family for eating a lot of dead money with Dave Lewis.
Right.
Because there are many franchises.
Who, by the way, Dave Lewis, is a real good hockey man.
Yeah. Just wasn't going to work as a head coach in Boston. R.J. Umberger tries to throw it middle, too many layers. Rask got a piece of it, and Seidenberg skates it out. Al Louis Eriksson on the off wing. He had a couple of shots on goal in the first. Barkowski's snapshot. Bobrovsky is square to it, and he has a pretty good view.
Pretty good play that develops for Boston. Starts back in their own zone. Columbus tries to make a play to the front of the net. The Bruins are well positioned. Seidenberg starts it, and Barkowski finishes it. 2 defensemen. Barkowski using his speed on that left side of the ice, jumping into the play to create a 4-on-3. But this is one of those things that Columbus tries to pride themselves in as they develop as a franchise, allowing Bobrovsky to know where the shots are coming from in order to be square to the shot.
Krejci, Ginla, and Lucic on the ice with Chara and Boychuk, the defensive pair. And here's Chara. Ginla out high, tries to snap it through Jack Johnson and doesn't get through. Good battle from Lucic to win the puck on the far wall against Letestu. Ginla strokes the puck around through the corner, comes to the half boards. Boychuk stops up against Jenner. Krug wrists it a little bit aimlessly through the neutral zone, maybe thinking somebody was going to skate on the diagonal through that seam, but Prout sends it in deep. Jenner throws it right in front, nobody home except Krejci. Johnson tries to skid it around. Krug is playing without a stick. Ginla trying to tap it in deep. Krejci with a good move to steal before Jenner can. Finds Chara. Hesitates the shot. Save. Rebound. There's the traffic in front. But Bobrovsky finds the puck in the chaos.
Yeah, Krug threw that puck into the neutral zone to no man's land, but the good play before that was his speed to get to that loose puck before Johnson. That prevents a 2-on-1, and then David Krejci getting in on the forecheck after Ginla kept the play alive in center ice just to tap it into the offensive zone. Protects the puck. Even though he gets knocked down, he still has possession. And a good decision with good vision to find Chara at that left point. Chara had a little trouble teeing that puck up the way he wanted to, but eventually got it to the net with that net front presence that you're looking for. Was it Johnson that actually deflected that puck?
Kelly wins the faceoff to Chara. The drive, save. Bobrovsky is scrambled for the puck. Caron can't jam it past. And Murray angles him off. Now Dubinsky to Wisniewski around past Murray. Gaborik back to the rookie. Wisniewski, the first touch pass. It's a little offline. Gaborik rescues it and whacks it through the neutral zone. McQuaid off the boards. Past Atkinson. Here comes Riley Smith with Kelly on his right and Caron on the near side. Kelly takes a crack at it. Caron back of the goal, right into the crease. Caron tries to send it middle again. Wisniewski plants him. Dubinsky tries to go off the boards. Gaborik against Chara, can't clear the zone. Kelly low for Smith, back to Kelly. The shot blocked. Murray on the shot block there. Caron looks around, patient for the puck. Boychuk drives off the side of the goal on the one-timer. Caron to Thornton, the drive. Good traffic from Kelly. Chara tries to send it middle. Now he's caught on the wrong side of the puck. Atkinson up to the red line. Columbus needs a change.
A real strong shift by Boston, even in a line change up front. Able to maintain possession and keep the pressure on.
Thornton cross ice to Krug. The crowd reacting to a big hit as the Bruins move the puck off ice. Pass does not connect wing to wing to Daniel Paille. Paille through the corner, leaves it behind both Campbell and Thornton. We're going in front of the net. Como runs into Campbell's check. Thornton bangs into Tootin. David Savard rescues the puck. Boychuk rams it off McKenzie. It bounces down to the corner. David Savard trying to work it out of the zone once again. Paille tosses it to Tootin's side, Putin's side of the ice. Watch it, he'll steal your ring if you're not watching. Here's McKenzie, his drive wide stick side of Rask, and a big reaction out of the crowd. Krug takes the space that Columbus gives him. Veers off the center dot and wrists it around. The Bruins will change out all 5 skaters. Seidenberg and Bartkowski, the defensive pair. The Bruins already with 5 shots on goal. Nick Foligno onto the right side. R.J. Umberger, a rare venture up ice for Columbus in this second period. Proud at the point, the wrist shot knocked down in front as Bartkowski jousts with Umberger. Umberger, who started Ohio State, sends the puck around back of the goal. Now it's Seidenberg up the wall. Marchand behind Bartkowski. He has to retreat to pick it up with Johansson on the forecheck. Marchand, cross ice, picked off. Letestu shot and a glove save by Tuukka Rask. Letestu trying to beat Tuukka Rask, glove side high, and Rask turns him back.
Marchand looking to make a play up the middle of his own zone. Thought he had an opportunity. Not sure he saw Letestu at all, coming maybe from a little bit of a blind spot, because that's a tape-to-tape pass to the opponent. And Letestu has the advantage being a right-handed shot. Not only take that pass in stride, but be on the inside to let a real good shot go from below the tops of the circle, right around the dot. Tuukka Rask, his most important save of the afternoon.
Mark Letestu has walked a few miles. Well, here's a delayed penalty coming up against Columbus. Adam McQuain slow to get up in the Boston end of the ice. And that was ruled possession.
Yeah, the good news is the Bruins going on the power play, but hardly possession at all. There's the high sticking right off the draw.
Boone Jenner,
physical guy. Catches McQuaid up high, but I believe it's only going to be a minor penalty, isn't it?
Yep.
It's not a double.
Nope, that wasn't. No signal to that effect anyway. This Bruins power play will be brought to you by Mazda.
Oh, it is a double.
Oh, they just gave him an extra.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily blood, which is widely misunderstood. It's causing injury. Torrey Krug wrists it on goal. Loose in front. And Columbus clears to the wall. Here's Krejci. Saucer pass. Krug scoops it right toward the middle again with Chara creating the mountain in front of Sergei Bobrovsky. Krejci has the puck skip past him at the right point. McKenzie extending the strides. He'll try to waste some clock down to the Boston zone. Long penalty to kill here for Columbus, but Dubinsky takes it back to Johnson. Johnson scales it all the way in on Rask. Krug to Krejci. Gives to Lucic. Dubinsky from behind. Letestu on the clear. We were talking about Letestu earlier. Just caught in a system in Pittsburgh that had way too much depth up front. Finally got a chance to play last year. 27 points in the shortened season, really showing what he can do. Playing any role they ask. Boychuk at the right point, over to Seidenberg. His drive knocked down in front with Campbell creating some traffic. Boychuk keeps the bouncer in the attacking zone, fires it off the far wall. Campbell beats Johnson to the puck. Bergeron to Seidenberg to Boychuk. Boychuk closes the wrist shot off Johnson's stick, and it rattles around to the far side to Bergeron. 2.5 minutes to go on the Boston man advantage, still in the front half of the double minor. Boychuk sends it around. Bergeron far side against Prout. Seidenberg around the perimeter. Boychuk back to Seidenberg. Seidenberg to Bergeron. They get in the motion that you'd want, Brick?
No. No, this unit's trying to spread it out along the blue line. Seidenberg and Boychuk on their proper sides, left and right, but not enough quick puck movement. One shot on the front half of the power play, which
has just expired.
Yeah, they got the puck to the net twice with Krug's unit on the ice. They couldn't get deflections. They couldn't get second chance opportunities. You know, it looks good. You think you're going to get to that rebound in front of Bobrovsky, but they haven't been able to get there yet this afternoon. But in other areas, just not sharp enough with the man advantage.
McKenzie forward to the goal line, runs into the Seidenberg check. Now Lucic tries to poke it out of McKenzie's skates. McKenzie continues to bleed, ticks off the clock. Krejci with a quick start. McKenzie going down. He's going to draw a penalty against Seidenberg. There goes the second power play, so 0 for 2.
Yeah, 0 for 1 and 0 for 13 seconds in your own zone for those 13 seconds. Sarcastic chuckle from the Bruin bench. Oh, and I can see why. McKenzie doing a nice job, as you pointed out, Jack, but man, you want to call that a trip, you got to call the other guy too.
Well, the other night it would have been.
Yeah.
Four on four for about a minute and 45. Chris Kelly trying to go all the way through. Wisniewski plays the body. Murray, the rookie, taps it away from Kelly. Umberger off the boards. Bartkowski kind of got caught betwixt and between. Now Riley Smith battling against Umberger, depriving him of a clean skating lane. Anisimov down in the corner. Bartkowski keeps him on the perimeter. Comes back to Wisniewski off the skate of Smith, but it comes right to Murray. Murray leaves the puck for Anisimov, shoulder to shoulder with Boychuk, and that'll stop most NHL players. Marchand over the line. Bergeron's wrist shot off of Murray's legs. Marchand scrambles and finds some space coming out of the corner. Comes off the half boards. Off Murray's legs again. It's a 3-on-2. Gaborik gives it ahead to Dubinsky. Trying to get it back to Gaborik. Gets the shot off with almost no angle. And Rask had the post blocked. 12:21 to go second period. Columbus leading the Bruins 1-0.
Welcome back into first period action here in Columbus. Last season, the Blue Jackets narrowly missed the playoffs after losing out on a tiebreaker to Minnesota. Of the 4 teams that missed the playoffs last year, we want to ask you which you think has the best chance to qualify this season. Text your vote A, B, C, or D to 536-536. Standard message and data rates may apply. We'll track the results all throughout the game, post-game, and reveal your choice later on tonight in NESN Sports Today.
12:21 remaining second period. Brandon Dubinsky leading by example. A versatile game, and perhaps his best attribute of many is the effort he puts in. Bergeron wins the faceoff away from him. Bergeron takes the puck through a stick. The long wrist shot, blocker save. Bobrovsky. It floats to the dasher. Bergeron there to challenge for the puck, creating the chance for Louis Eriksson. Short pass to Bergeron, making himself available. Krug holds. Bergeron coming out high. Cross-ice pass dangerous because Gaborik was one step away from a 100-foot breakaway.
Yeah, Krug knew he'd catch him, though.
That's confidence. Here's Dubinsky through the center circle. Gaborik flying up Krug's side. The leg saved by Tuukka Rask. Gaborik so good at changing the angle and quickly releasing the shot. Jack Johnson whips the puck middle of the blue line. Prout can't do anything against Bergeron. Stick check. Johnson over the line. Dubinsky's shot knocked out of the air. Might have been a high stick. I thought I saw that signal from the referee, and that is the case. The puck not only over the crossbar, but over the shoulder. Crossbar for a goal, shoulder for possession.
Yeah,
face-off comes outside the line.
It's a 4-on-4 situation, but Bergeron needed to get off the ice, and even though Columbus has possession in the neutral zone, he thought he had time to get off and make that change and not give up numbers in the opposite direction. You know, Columbus turned that into an advantage. They step back into the offensive zone. Krug and Bartkowski on the ice. They have to back off. The gap isn't where it needs to be because they feel they're under attack and that Columbus has more men on the ice, and it leads to a pretty good chance on that off wing.
David Savard, trouble from David Krejci. Savard just throws the puck out through the neutral zone. Boychuk, D to Seidenberg. Lucic coming behind the red line, attacking with speed, getting back pressure from Johansson. Krejci shovels it on through. Iginla comes out of the corner against Tootin. Seidenberg adjusts for the one-timer, can't get it on goal. Lucic, Boychuk, Seidenberg's drive knocked down in front. Bobrovsky coming to the top of his crease. Seidenberg, the slap pass, puck on edge. Boychuk tries to scoop it middle. Lucic in a battle against Tootin. Tootin angles him off. Johansson flips the puck up to the neutral zone. Nick Foligno working one-on-one against Johnny Boychuk. Foligno all the way to the goal line. Boychuk tries to cave him in and does, and then finishes him off in the corner. Jared Bull slings it around to Derek McKenzie, brings it back. Murray keeps it on the line. Wisniewski now against Lucic. Off Lucic's stick, McKenzie's shot hits Krejci's legs and bounds through for Iginla. McKenzie rides the pony against Boychuk. Krejci strong on the stick to keep McKenzie from getting through to the puck. McKenzie unloads on Krejci, but he takes the hit to help Boston get it out of the zone. Here's McKenzie, 3-on-3 off ice. Atkinson jumped the line and a late shot from Bull. That'll get Boychuk's attention. And Bull, being the straight-up guy he is, probably said to Boychuk, I made a big mistake. Rewind's coming up after this quick break. Stay with us.
Time now for the Berkshire Bank exciting rewind. Bruins looking to establish offense. That means their forechecking game and your defense moving up to keep pressure in the offensive zone. It starts with Torrey Krug. In a line change, has to use that great speed in order to get to the blue line. When this play to the net off that far post isn't executed, and because he uses that speed to get to that blue line, now he keeps the play alive. And by throwing this puck back down in this area, it allows the Bruins forwards, and in this case, Caron and Smith, to make a simple possession play. This is the way this line wants to play, Jack. They want to have close proximity. You bring people to you, and then you protect the puck. And the way Columbus defends, 5 green jerseys, if I can call them green, on that side of the ice. From the middle dot, or I should say from the center of that, between the hash marks, 5 Columbus Blue Jack players. The points have been open all afternoon for Boston. They've been using more of it here in the second period, but that opportunity back in the first period for Torrey Krug started with Krug keeping the play alive, and they established forecheck and then the cycle game.
One of the themes of the day, coming off the disappointment of not scoring against Jean-Sébastien Giguère a couple of nights ago, was traffic in front. But that's another way that they can attack Columbus, because the Blue Jackets are so aggressive side to side. Funky bounce off a stanchion comes in front, and Chara rescues the puck.
And you still got half a game to go, but you'd like to see the Bruins win a few of those battles in front of the net. Right now, Columbus getting the better of that area of the ice.
Ball chugs over the line. McQuaid got a piece of it. Bounce off the dasher, off the apron. Chara and Rask were there to make sure nothing bad happened for Boston. Wisniewski into McQuaid's skate, and he ices it.
The Red Sox keep winning, and the beards keep growing. NESN is the home for Red Sox Nation throughout the playoffs across TV, the web, and social media. The 1-hour pre- and post-game show, coverage presented by Olympia Sports, continues tonight starting at 7 o'clock. Every game, everywhere. It's Soxtober on NESN.
Letestu and Kelly on the face-off. Kelly wins it to Chara. McQuaid taps it off the boards. Riley Smith picks it up with Chris Kelly middle, gives it to Kelly. He's got Caron on the far side. Kelly, the timing play, looking for Caron to redirect, but Jack Johnson makes the block. Anisimov shoves it past Thornton. The puck in the neutral zone. Letestu knocks the puck off Krug's stick down into the corner. Boone Jenner turns on the backhand. The one-timer Johnson blocked on the way through. I don't know if it caught McQuaid in the skate.
I think it was Thornton.
Thornton now on the wall against Jack Johnson. Campbell snaps the bouncer. It skips past Krug to the boards. He takes it on the carom. Good extension by Campbell to kill the cross-ice pass. Hoists it over Campbell's reach. Good hit against Prout as Paille goes in and plays the physical game, then looks for the tip on Campbell's offline shot. Boychuk right along the goal line, and Bobrovsky tracks it nicely. Prout in the corner, taps it off the kick plate. Krug's backup drive with Paille on the doorstep, and a save by Bobrovsky. High to Campbell. Kicks to the stick. Campbell shields the puck. Brings it back to Boychuk. He's got Thornton rotating. Jenner deflects Boychuk's effort, and it comes outside the line off Letestu. The Bruins want to change.
Again, shot from the point of there. That time it was Krug with Paille uncovered in front of Bobrovsky.
Bartkowski banks the puck off the end boards. Brad Marchand the shift into the seam. Bartkowski gets it poked off his stick by Atkinson, who's so active. And Boychuk slings it into the Columbus bench.
Now, real good shift by the fourth line. Campbell, Thornton, Paille doing the job. Good rotation down low. Use those points. It's a good drive right there. Paille trying to get right in front of Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky saw the origination of the shot. And even though Paille's there, he's in pretty good position because he knows where that puck's headed. And unfortunately for Paille, that rebound was a little explosive. When he got away from him, didn't really have a chance for that second opportunity.
Stalemate for the faceoff. Marchand goes all the way to the dot to win it. Tootin holding at the point. Gaborik tries to put the shift on Chara. Now Atkinson coming out of the corner, setting up the cycle. Gaborik, who gives Chara an extra shot. Gaborik holds Chara to keep him from getting through the corner and gets away with it. McQuaid sends the backhand over to Marchand. Marchand up into the neutral zone. Bergeron backs across the red line, slings it past Eriksson. Bobrovsky comes out. Eriksson took the inside route.
Nice job by Marchand there on that last attempt by the Bruins defense. McQuaid and Chara, he came real deep down by the goal line.
Lucic to the middle of the line. Bartkowski in a traffic jam with Seidenberg. Here's Gaborik with a little bit of space on the off wing. The shot saved by Raski, controls the rebound.
Well, you had Tootin pitching down on one side. There were a lot of battles going on. It started with Atkinson protecting the puck. But left side of your screen, look how low Marchand comes. That will discourage a defenseman from pinching. He won't come all the way down that far, especially when Tootin pitches real deep on the first side, on the left side. Wisniewski's not going to come down that low. Marchand aware of that. Now you got a breakup.
Krejci and Johansson on the faceoff. Krejci taps the puck to the corner, but Nick Foligno is on it quickly. Umberger jamming at the post, and Tuukka Rask makes the stop.
You called it, Jack. The Bruins actually win this draw. David Krejci reaching around for puck possession to slide it back into the corner. But Foligno gets there first. Nice little play with Umberger. Umberger tries to get it to the front of the net. Johansson trying to get in there. That puck just kind of squirted up in the air, and Rask had to track it.
R.J. Umberger, one of those under-the-radar guys in the NHL because he hasn't played in a big market or played for a very successful team. He was with Philly for a short time, but 5 times a 20-goal scorer. Has a nose for the net. Here he is, Umberger. Back to Jack Johnson. The wrist shot blocker save. Rask aggressively past the blue paint. Johnson, forehand, pass cross ice, and Prout throws it on Rask, who makes a left leg save. Blue Jackets finding their rhythm. Prout the high drive and was not on goal. And Rask gloves it, and he'll have to take another face-off in the Boston end.
Tonight at 10, catch up with Jameson Coyle and Gary Striewski for NESN Sports Today, presented by People's United Bank. They'll have extended coverage of the Blue Jackets and Bruins, keep you up to date on the Red Sox and the ALCS, and a preview of the Patriots and Saints. Check it all out tonight at 10.
Chara and McQuaid paired. Taking a quick scan on the Boston bench. Wondering if Johnny Boychuk has gone underneath for repairs. Chara going 1 against 2. Jenner and Bold crack him. Here's Boone Jenner trying to get away from Kelly. Delayed call coming against the Bruins. Bobrovsky makes the long break toward the Boston bench. Smith will extend against Murray, who banks the puck off the end boards. The extra skater is on for the Blue Jackets. Derek McKenzie through Riley Smith's stick check. McKenzie gains the line with Jenner, setting up the jam in front. The Blue Jackets will go on the power play, which has produced the only goal of the game so far. Late second period, matinee in Columbus.
Chris Kelly's going to go to the box for his hook. Get a look at the action. Chara double team. Kelly down low doing exactly what he should do as far as coverage is concerned. That bit of stick work sends him to the penalty box, and the Bruins once again find themselves shorthanded fairly late in the period.
This would be a large-sized penalty kill for Boston. with Chris Kelly, who is second among Bruins forwards in shorthanded time on ice per game, trailing only Patrice Bergeron in the box. Wisniewski moves it along the line to Jack Johnson, sends it down to the half boards to Gaborik. He's got Atkinson in the high slot, now sends it low for Anisimov. Runs right into the apron of the goal. Chara has it right to Dasher Campbell, chipping it through. Here's Paille with a breakaway, shorthanded. Paille wide of the goal. A golden chance as the Bruins bid for their third shorthanded goal of this young season. Boychuk cocks and fires, and Anisimov ducks as the puck comes past his shoulder. Paille glides into the attacking zone and strokes it in deep.
Now what an opportunity. Danny Paille, and a heads-up chip pass by Campbell. After Chara's able to get to that loose puck that Anisimov turned over, side of the net.
Gaborik penetrates the line with possession. Atkinson slaps the puck around, and between the legs pass from Wisniewski, dribbles all the way through. Atkinson hustling across the slot. Seidenberg in a race against Anisimov. Bergeron tries to slap the backhand out. Can't. Anisimov shot off McQuaid's stick, hits glass, and deflects into the netting. The faceoff will be in the Boston zone.
I haven't talked a lot about it this afternoon, but that puck seems to be bouncing a heck of a lot at ice level. Obviously, we don't have the advantage of being down there. See if this puck ever lays flat for Danny Paille. Does not look that way. Has to reach back a little bit on that great chip pass by Campbell, but it never lays flat, and that's going to affect your shot. He tried to do what he could do with it, and he tried to beat Bobrovsky to that blocker side, but just outside the post.
Johansson and Krejci on the faceoff. And a redo. Still more than 3/4 of a minute to go on Columbus's man advantage. And Krejci was thrown out of the faceoff. Iginla will take it. Johansson wins it cleanly to Teuton. Iginla with a broken stick. He's the man who's out high. Letestu pass to Iginla. Letestu to Dubinsky. A de facto 5-on-3 here. Letestu driving it, and Rask could not control the puck as it came hot off his blocker. He would love to get a face-off. Remember, second period, the long change, long way to the Boston bench for Iginla to get new lumber. Dubinsky's wrist shot double deflection. The Bruins still can't find it. Iginla hustling out toward the point. The force, and he got Teuton outside the line. Iginla swoops back, picks up a new stick, and then gives back pressure to Johansson. Dubinsky nudges the puck to Teuton, and it tumbles back into the neutral zone. 2 shots on goal for Columbus during the power play. Umberger apparently got the skate back all the way across the line, but Iginla makes the steal. Skating with a little B under his bonnet here. Kelly fires and scores! Chris Kelly on a bomb to tie it after a clutch penalty kill. Stupendous effort by Jerome Iginla at the tail end, and it's 1-1.
You almost feel helpless when you have no stick and you're in a penalty killing situation. Long change in your own zone, but Iginla stays with it. He stays in the shooting lanes, gets involved physically, and then when the Bruins do a nice job of getting puck possession, it's Iginla that delays through the neutral zone, a back diagonal with Kelly coming late. And Bobrovsky, who had a chance to deny Paille, shot was not on goal, didn't have to make the save on that shorthanded situation. Needs to make this save right now, but he can't. Kelly just tees one up and blows it by him from long range to tie the hockey game.
Iginla not among the Bruins forwards in shorthanded time on ice in the first 3 games. And you wonder if Claude Julien put him on the penalty kill, not just because he can play there, he's an all-situation player, but also perhaps to get him going. He certainly is totally involved. Blue Jackets getting a rousing chant from their crowd, but the Bruins made themselves a break with an important penalty kill and then turning adversity into success.
You know, he looked like Iginla was looking for a shot last game against Colorado. Only had a total of 4. We mentioned that at the top of the broadcast. Was a lot more involved offensively.
Chara's drive kick saved by Bobrovsky. Chara all the way inside the top of the circle. That was a huge save.
Points are open, and it is. It's a good response save by Bobrovsky after giving up the Kelly goal.
Foligno trying to grind his way through Chara. Foligno holds possession, wrists it hard for Murray. Murray's shot looking for a deflection, knocked down in front. Chara to Marchand. Gaborik steals it from him. And then Kelly steals in turn away from Jenner.
Big play by Kelly. After a poor turnover, Bruins some indecision with the puck.
Chara steps up. Eriksson to Caron to Kelly. The shot. Piles of bodies flying through the middle. Caron getting sent for a barrel roll, and Kelly can't stuff it inside the post.
Apparently that hit wasn't too late.
No. Here's Atkinson showing his speed down the wing. Smith gives him a bump. Gaborik gets it past Smith. Gaborik shields the puck. Atkinson, a little trouble from Krug, and Smith the next layer. Knocks it to the far corner. Wisniewski, the defenseman, pinches. Now he's on the wrong side of the puck. He and Caron collide. 3-on-2 off ice for Boston. Riley Smith to Krug. To Chara, the wrist shot, saved Bobrovsky, and Kelly closing it on the weak side, but the rebound bounced away from it. Smith holding off Murray's check. Now it's Caron on the wall, working against Dubinsky, sends it in low. The Bruins have more spark, more spring in their legs. Smith turning the corner. McQuaid to Seidenberg, the one-timer. Bobrovsky squeezes the knees, and yes, it's still in there. And now it gets a little bit nasty. James Wisniewski taking a couple of swings at Caron, and then connects with the left net onto the 10-minute misconduct right there. There's your precedent. There it is. They were absolutely engaged by the linesman. Wisniewski reached around and popped him. And if you're number 17 in white, you're sitting there on the bench saying, why isn't there equal justice here?
Well, there's going to be a penalty on Wisniewski, certainly. Not sure if it's going to be a misconduct, but Bruins would rather take the 2-minute power play if they could get it right there for that left hand. Jordan Caron doing what he does best, and that is work down low in the offensive zone, take that big body to the front of the net, protect pucks, get to the net looking for deflections, second chance opportunities. Wisniewski didn't like it. Didn't like it when he was back in the offensive zone when he got knocked off the play to create that 4-on-2 that led to the chance by Chara. I think the Bruins are looking for a power play here to finish this second period. Minute 25 to go, and they will get it. Wisniewski, there's 2 minutes on the board for him. The Bruins will go on a power play with momentum on their side.
So justice is served. And now the Bruins would like to administer some of their own justice. Lucic is on the ice to Krejci's right with Chara on the left. Iginla and Krug back at the blue line. A slow, emotional start to this game. The Bruins without a lot of spring, and Matt Bartkowski telling Jamie between periods the Bruins needed to skate more. They're into it now. Here's Krug drawing Anisimov, finds Lucic. Lucic tries to go across the box. It's 1 against 4, and Tootin works the puck all the way to the blue line and skitters it down the ice.
Now Lucci's trying to make a play standing still. Going to keep moving that. Even the subtlest little movement creates a different passing lane.
Krug ahead to Iginla in the final minute of the second period. Iginla holds it on the wall, sends it around for Chara. Chara reverses it. Iginla knocks it down for Lucic. Lucic gets thrown off his skates by Prout's hit. Chara tries to turn on the wall. It's underneath. He uses the huge reach to knock the puck through the high slot. Iginla locked up with Jack Johnson. Lucic there in support. Prout gives Lucic a bump. The puck squirts to Chara. He wins another puck battle on the wall. Krejci flips it ahead into Lucic's skates. Lucic finds Krug, the quick release with Chara trying to screen. Bobrovsky the leg save. Lucic fires it into the middle, but it's right onto Dubinsky's stick, deliberately over the red line. Now he gains the Boston zone. Krejci knocks the puck away. Time for one more rush. They'll look at the Bruins penalty kill during the intermission, just seconds away. But first, here's Marchand. The shot goes off Prout's leg, bounces to the corner. Johansson gets it up but not out, and there's the horn to end the second. They'll go to the third. The Bruins will have 35 seconds of power play time left. It'll be tied at 1-1.
Now, what a sequence late in this period for the Bruins. Iginla without his stick trying to kill a penalty, and when they survived that with some real good effort, the Kelly goal has changed the complexion of this game dramatically at Boston with an opportunity late in the period with that power play, maybe to take the lead. They'll still have better than half a minute when they start period number 3, but they need to do more with that power play.
Dale, special teams have been pretty good so far in this early season, but it was the effort of Jarome Iginla at the end of it and then carrying over into even strength that made the difference in the tying goal. It's 1-1 heading into the third period alongside Andy Brickley and with Jamie Erdahl at ice level and our NESN production crew. I'm Jack Edwards. Glad you could be with us. The Bruins will be on the power play when the third period begins. Take your game viewing experience to a whole new level with the Garden Greats Suite Rental Package. Watch the game of the Bruins legend and score seating for up to 24 guests, all-inclusive food and beverage, never before offered behind-the-scenes access, and more. Visit bostonbruins.com/Garden Greats or call 617-624-1VIP. Andy Brickley moments ago with Bruins assistant coach Doug Jarvis.
Doug, just in general, when you have an afternoon 2 o'clock start, are there any adjustments you have to make in your preparation as a team to get ready for an afternoon game?
No, it really isn't much different other than you obviously don't have your morning skate, which you normally have, but we run through our same meetings, special teams meetings, 5-on-5 meetings, do everything else basically the same for the game.
Your assessment of your team's power play right now, an opportunity late in the period maybe to get the lead in this hockey game. What are you not getting with the man advantage that you're looking for?
I think a little bit more possession time. I mean, we've got to get our puck recovery has to be better and get the power play settled down and get moving with some solid pass plays and obviously get the puck to the net.
One of the strengths of your team is your forechecking ability, that heavy game that you play in the offensive zone. What do you need to do to really establish that in the third when it's winning time?
Well, the puck's got to get deep and probably more of a what we call a north game for us, not so much playing east-west, but playing north-south and hopefully north. And that's getting pucks deep and getting after them and creating turnovers from their defensemen.
Well, thanks, Doug. Good luck in the third period.
Okay, Andy.
Well, Rick, Doug Jarvis talking about winning the puck along the wall, and even though it wasn't on the power play where the Bruins need more of that, Jerome McGinley's effort is the kind of effort that you see from a Hall of Famer to be that can raise a whole team.
Yeah, and I use the word almost helpless in this situation. He's taking the face off, and nothing you can do about it. You're deep in your own defensive zone. The stick breaks on the draw, and you got to stay out there and try to kill a penalty. You try to front anybody that's going to try to take a shot. He actually got involved physically by helping push the puck and the players out into the neutral zone, and now he's able to retrieve his stick, and he stays on the ice and gets involved offensively. Makes a nice little back diagonal pass to Chris Kelly coming late. And Kelly, again, having a strong game for Boston, able to tie the hockey game on a long-range drive.
And let's not forget, Chris Kelly had to leave and go down the tunnel in the first period after blocking a shot with the upper body. Game summary brought to you by your New England Ford dealers. We received word between periods that Columbus forward Blake Como, who started the game centering the fourth line, has a lower body injury and will not return.
Well, you had plenty of time to go over what you want to try to get accomplished with what's left of this power play, 30-plus seconds in between periods. Now it's about going out, executing, and setting up at least one real good look.
Krug has Krejci busting straight in front of him. He elects to drill it into the zone. Lucic trying to win the puck battle along the boards, but the puck bounces past. Chara has it unopposed on the half boards. Sizzles it across to Iginla. His drive off Anisimov sticking up into the protective netting with 12 seconds to go on the power play.
Again, this is even with fresh ice. That pass zipped by Chara, a guy with great hands like Iginla. That puck was on edge, which added to the drag in getting that shot away.
Yep. Dubinsky and Krejci on what could be the final face-off of this power play.
Yeah, clock awareness. 12 seconds to go on the man advantage. Can't let players coming out of that box be open.
And Anisimov battling to a stalemate. Tootin one-handing it past Lucic on the boards. Krejci gets it back to Krug, over to Chara in the final seconds of the power play cross. Nice Krejci to Iginla, the shot and a block from the defenseman David Savard, getting his legs down in front. Some good scrambling by Columbus after good puck movement.
Yeah, this is exactly what Dougie Jarvis was talking to us about, and that's winning battles even in your 5-on-4 situations. Lucci's doing a nice job down low, gets some support, and then the Bruins set up beautifully. Krug to Chara, to Krejci, to Savard, to Iginla, and it was Savard that was able to slide into that shooting lane. Big time block.
Much of the game has been played in Columbus's end of the ice. Bobrovsky has had some huge saves. Bergeron cross ice, score! Loui Eriksson gets his first as a Bruin. And number 2-1 puts the Bruins up 2-1.
Well, the Bruins take advantage of a good bounce. The drive in, the dump in by Boychuk, is going to hit one of the Columbus players, just kind of drop it into an area where Patrice Bergeron was skating. See if we get a look at it. There's that puck that just deflects. Did it hit the referee? I couldn't tell from that replay, Jack. But it's Bergeron that skates right into the loose puck, and he slips a backhander. And Louis Eriksson, we keep talking about his great skill set. You get a pretty good idea of it right there. On the backhand, a one-timer from a really bad angle before Bobrovsky can get across the crease.
Folks, this is why you got to tune in before the opening drop, because about what was Andy Brickley talking in the pregame show. Jarome Iginla and Louis Eriksson finding their stride. Iginla raises the entire team with his effort after the broken stick, and Eriksson with the tie-breaking goal early in the third. Al Seidenberg sets up at the point. Off the end boards, Bergeron tries to spin it in front, wins the puck back, banks to Boychuk, the blast, kicked out of the middle. Umberger ahead to Nick Foligno. 3 men on the right side on the overload. Umberger's shot, and it got through Tuukka Rask. Was that the 7-hole, or did it go wide of the blocker?
Wide of the blocker.
Foligno rams into Kelly, who holds his ground. Off the glass, goes right into the crease, and Rask sweeps it away from Foligno, who is always looking in the dirty areas of the ice. Here's Murray, the defenseman, all the way to the goal line. Boychuk blocks the centering pass. Kelly, the backhander, flips past Seidenberg. Boychuk's got to hurry as Dubinsky chases. Gaborik gets to the puck before Seidenberg. It comes around to Marchand. Marchand under pressure from Wisniewski, the pinching defenseman. Kelly hoists the puck out of the defensive zone. Caron has it with a little backspin off to Marchand. A little wiggle and waggle in the shot. Saved by Bobrovsky. Wisniewski hops on the rebound, trickles it through the corner. McQuaid pinches to the hash marks. Dubinsky the long lead for Gaborik. He waits for the rush to gather at the red line. Stick handles over the blue line. Cross ice pass. Cam Atkinson trying to sneak it through, but Dubinsky never received it because the Bruins had numbers back.
Yeah, it's close to being offside on that little pullback move by Gaborik.
Tootin swings the puck to David Savard, who had the big block just a minute ago. Thornton on the right side of the defensive zone rifles the puck too far forward for Daniel Paille. Savard hits the brakes. Thornton comes through the right wing corner. The long pass off the boards. Bartkowski takes it with Bull chasing. Bartkowski turns his neck, has it knocked away. Good pressure from Boone Jenner. Bull tries to wrist it down the wall. Thornton chips it out. Paille finds it. The puck on edge a ton.
And that's a heads-up play by Paille. Doesn't have a chance to keep the offensive flow going, so he stops on the puck at center ice and just chips the puck deep in order to get a line change.
Bull in a race against Bartkowski, and there's hybrid icing for you. Bartkowski won the race to the dots, and in the estimation of the linesman, would have won the race to the puck had they gone all out to the end wall.
Bartkowski's skating ability is there this afternoon, Jack. And that's probably his biggest strength. There's been a little bit of drag in his decision making. He's had the puck knocked away from him on a couple of occasions as a result, but that's just because he hasn't had any reps this year. But a good idea of just how well a skater, just how well he skates. Make sure that icing call is made.
Iginla in the corner, wins it to Lucic, slings it back to Krug. Krug tries to fire it middle. It bounces off of the stick of Boone Jenner. Lucic, bottom of the circle, finds Krug. High stick handling move, the shot, and Jenner with another block, leaving his skates to take it with a body. Bull rams. Is that Boychuk on the far side? Just getting head over tea kettle at the dasher. Savard bounces the puck to the corner. Krug locked up there with Anisimov. The puck bounces up in the air. Anisimov goes right to the post. And Atkinson with a little tip up, and Rask makes the stop.
A limited number of Bruins 3-game plans are now available, featuring matchups against the LA Kings, Vancouver Canucks, Toronto Maple Leafs, and more. To purchase your 3-game plan, visit BostonBruins.com or call 617-624-2327, option 1.
What do you do when you're Johnny Boychuk and you know this is coming?
You take the hit. You try to put yourself in the best position to absorb the hit, not get hurt, and finish the play. Keep that puck forward.
Louis Eriksson snaps the puck to the end boards, one-hands it. Smith picks it up off the apron of the goal. Now Bergeron wins the puck battle against Jack Johnson. Back to Bartkowski. The one-timer, Seidenberg snaps the stick on contact. Eriksson, the cycle to Bergeron. He's got Smith middle. Tries to chip it to him. It bounces all the way across to Eriksson, who shows terrific closing speed. Now Letestu almost poked it past Bartkowski for a one-man break. Bartkowski risks it into the corner, or rather to the end boards. Eriksson locked up with Johnson. Knocks it loose. Marchand the quick turn. Here's Kelly. McQuaid fouled it off. Letestu trying to send Atkinson ahead through the seam. It does not connect, and it'll be icing again against the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, a little adjustment in the forward lines by Claude Julien. He's got Marchand now playing with Kelly and Caron. Want to give Caron a little love, too, on that play. When Marchand had a chance a few shifts ago, that high chip out of the defensive zone, Caron stops it on the puck in center ice. Short little pass to the streaking Marchand. That led to a forehand chance opportunity. But Marchand now playing with Kelly and Caron, and Riley Smith playing with Bergeron and Eriksson.
Columbus calls a timeout here, trailing by a goal with 15 minutes to go. Todd Richards, who worked his way up through the coaching ranks, won a Calder Cup with Milwaukee in the AHL. A couple of years at Minnesota, and now in his third season with Columbus. Jeff Ward talking to the Boston bench. Louis Eriksson getting his first as a Bruin, and we get a chance for another look at it.
Now there's the backhand pass by Patrice Bergeron. He has to lay that in front of Eriksson. It can't be on the forehand side, otherwise it's not going to get there. But the ability to make a one-timer on the backhand and be that accurate is impressive.
And there wasn't a lot of room between Bobrovsky's left arm and the post.
And it was closing fast.
Love the Super Bowl look. Kelly gets tossed out of the faceoff, I believe, because Marchand had encroached.
You know, the Bruins' points continue to be open. Seidenberg had a chance on a one-timer, broke his stick. McQuaid had a chance moving in on a one-timer, essentially a one-timer. Just kind of healed it a little bit, but the points have been open.
Atkinson waiting for Letestu to create traffic. And Caron gives him very little space.
And Krug had a chance. He had that little pump fake. You know, he made the right play, and he got... who was it, Jenner, to go down, and he still tried to take that shot, and Jenner was able to get a piece of it a little bit with his shoulder, but Bruins continue to look to use the points. The later you get in the game, you don't want to deviate from that game plan, but you got to be 100% sure. We're talking about the ice and bouncing pucks. You don't want to make a pass back to a defenseman standing still and have it get by him, you know, with forwards coming at you with speed. Now you're at a disadvantage, so maybe you change that a little bit the later you get into the hockey game.
McQuaid all the way around the boards. Marchand with the angle on Wisniewski, and they call that hybrid icing. Now, Wisniewski clearly had won the race to the dot, but Marchand had the angle on him, and if you know these two players, that's not a very competitive race. No, Marchand's going to win it.
But you do use the dot for skate position. Who's going to win this? That's pretty close. That's a tough break for Boston.
Wow. Well, on such things do games occasionally turn. An important faceoff in the Boston end here. Kelly against Johansson, and Kelly wins the draw. McQuaid back of the goal for Chara, out past Marchand. Wisniewski's one-timer deflected just past the post. McQuaid brings it out to Marchand. Cross ice, Caron to Kelly. Kelly to the right wing. Caron battling through, turns away from Umberger. Marchand keeps the feet moving. Krug the backup drive. Boychuk unloads, and that splatters off the end boards. Murray taps the puck back, and Wisniewski has a look. The Bruins have come from behind on goals by Kelly and Eriksson to lead Columbus in the third. Marian Gaborik tries the backhanded middle. It deflects, and Rask leaves the glove behind and snags the puck out of the air. Louis Eriksson, his first as a Bruin, and Boston's on top, 2-1.
Back at Nationwide Arena, there's the guy that gave the Bruins the go-ahead goal. We've been asking you all night which of the 4 teams that just missed the playoffs last season, who has the best chance to qualify this year. Right now, Columbus is leading the text poll. Text your vote A, B, C, or D with those teams to 536-536. Standard message and data rates may apply. We'll track the results through the rest of the game, through post-game, and reveal your choice later on tonight in NESN Sports Today.
Jamie, thank you. Campbell will take the face-off against Dubinsky. Boychuk has Bergeron up the wall. Does not connect. This will be icing. And yeah, David Savard would have won that race.
Yeah, but it's a pinch down the wall by Tootin, right on top of Bergeron, that it doesn't allow him to make a play on this puck. That gets the attention of the Bruins bench, saying, hey, how can you call that icing? Our guy doesn't have a chance to make a play because of the offensive team pinching down the wall.
Boychuk backhands it around. Pye has it caught in his skates. The drive knocked down. Dubinsky, the quick release on the wrist shot as the block shot fell right on his stick.
Well, he can certainly take a wrist shot, Dubinsky. Much like the Bruins got a good bounce on that deflected dump in by Johnny Boychuk that led to the Eriksson goal. A funny bounce ends up on the blade of the stick of Dubinsky, and he's in a pretty good area to shoot the puck.
He did a nice piece with Jerome McGinley about wrist shots.
Yeah, he can shoot it.
It's available. Go to NESN.com.
Bruins Academy.
Yeah. You can text 536-536 Wrister and scan the QR code on your screen for the Wrister. I'm being fed that information because I don't know what a QR code is. It's that funny looking thing. Chara with a drive, and it goes through Bobrovsky. They might want to examine him for an exit wound. It might have gone directly through his chest.
It was a nice play by Chara initially to move up to the blue line to keep this play in the offensive zone. And he continued on a nice move to the net.
Lucic with a nice move around Foligno. Sprays it wide for Krejci. Krejci holds here. Ginla the one-timer, and he shatters his stick. Ginla has had tough luck with the lumber this afternoon. Derek McKenzie. Bartkowski gives him a bump. Now Foligno, where he makes his living in the corners. Brings it back to Prout. Sizzles it along the line. Johnson's pass deflected. McKenzie comes out high. Sticks the puck down into the corner. Seidenberg goes right through it. Foligno going to the post. Seidenberg turns away from pressure. McKenzie steals the puck. McKenzie quickly to the wing. The backup drive by Johnson. And a block by Krejci. He comes up limping. Eriksson had trouble stepping over the blue line. Might have caught a rut. Or he might have just blown out an edge.
The puck's not the only thing on edge. But a nice play by Tuukka Rask, using that goal stick as a poke check.
Here's a free puck. Letestu trying to find it in the slot. Knocks Bergeron's stick out of his hands. It goes off the skate of Bartkowski. Rask makes the stop. And now Prout's shot goes off Eriksson's stick to the end boards. Columbus playing with desperation, trying to pull back even as we approach the midpoint of the third period. Louis Eriksson deliberately out of the Boston zone to Riley Smith. He bounces one in wide of Bobrovsky, and the Bruins will change out. It's the Bergeron line. Prout gets past Bergeron, sends it ahead. Jenner trying to get the puck deep, but he does. The pass comes right through the creases. Anisimov looked for somebody in front, but there was nobody home. Wisniewski up to the line. Jenner over the line, and Krug takes it away. Marchand couldn't get to the passes. Wisniewski intercepts in the lane. Here's Johansson on the wing. Caron bumps off. Johansson tries to get it to Rask, and Rask snuffs it out next to the post. The sticks come flying after the whistle.
Just a flat-out bad decision right there by Adam McQuaid, trying to pass through people in the neutral zone. Not just one, but two Blue Jackets playing. Prior to that, Zdeno Chara had an opportunity, pitches down, keeps the play alive, allows Lucic to pick up the puck. Columbus losing an edge, and then allows Chara to get in a real good shooting area between the dot and the side of the circle, and that powerful little one-time half slap, whatever you want to call it, had enough to get through Bobrovsky, but not enough to get across the goal line.
Johansson, Gaborik, and Bull out there. Murray to Wisniewski. The blast saved by Rask. He gets knocked down. Chara off the boards to Campbell. Wing to Caron. Murray, good position. But Caron wins the puck battle. Brings it back toward McQuaid. Gaborik. Quick couple of steps to get to it first. Kelly goes in hard against Murray. Murray gets spun down. Gaborik to Bull. Bull gathers it up. He's got Johansson on his left. Goes hard around into the zone. Gaborik quickly to it. Chara gave him a hard hit. The two Slovakians have really been working each other over all afternoon long. Wisniewski, high slot, comes across to Johansson, and Boychuk goes down bruised after the block that sends the puck into the protective netting.
Well, much like the Bruins, Columbus tries to work an offensive play off a face-off win in the offensive zone. Notice how close the two defensemen are in order to set up a short pass one-timer. There's a little bit of risk involved because you're really leaving the open side of the ice. If the Bruins are able to win a draw, they'll walk out of their zone and maybe get something going through the neutral zone. But a nice play where the two defensemen switch sides and then they get real close to each other to set up that short little one-timer to create a lane to the net. And Wisniewski let a bomb go.
Savard's shot. Knocked around high slot. Lucic intercepted. Atkinson, the shot blocker saved by Rask. Tuukka Rask coming up large in the last couple of minutes. Now Umberger pivots through the corner. Dubinsky going down back of the goal. He must have caught a rut. Seidenberg just throws Umberger down. Iginla out muscling Tuukka. Here's Lucic 2-on-1. Working against Savard. Krejci to Iginla. The shot trickles through. Leg save by Bobrovsky. Ridiculous save. Bartkowski middle of the line. Seidenberg to Bartkowski. His blast saved by Bobrovsky. Excellent goaltending at both ends. Midway through the third period, the Bruins holding a 2-1 lead at Columbus.
It's a 2-on-1, potential 3-on-1. They get into the triangle format. Lucic the net drive off the far post. Krejci the playmaker. Iginla the finisher, but it was the stick on the back check by Dubinsky that really disrupted that golden opportunity for Jarome Iginla.
And so often we see a change of speed of the puck, enabling it to trickle through a goalie's legs or under a pad. And Bobrovsky twice made reflex kicks. He has been really good. Gaborik on the off wing. Bartkowski shuts down his space. David Savard into the corner. Bartkowski puts the shoulder into him and knocks him off his skates, but he's quickly back up. He caroms around. Bartkowski finds it. Now Krejci nudges it over the line. A little miscommunication between the two of them. Let's go Jackets, the chant from the crowd here in Columbus. Gaborik center circle to Dubinsky. He gains the line. He's got Atkinson going middle. High limits Dubinsky's space. He shields the puck. Back to Tootin. The drive off a body and it goes wide, dying on the apron of the goal. Thornton crossed the defensive zone. He looked twice to make sure that somebody wasn't playing possum. Here's Paille all the way in the corner. Tootin rides him off the angle, but Paille stops on the puck. Tootin puts the free arm around Paille. Campbell spins it back. Paille on the end boards. It hops away and Tootin carries through the corner. Boychuk pinches forward. Foligno can't possess the puck. Campbell mishandles and Rask takes care of it. Chara hard around through the defensive end. Stolen by Umberger. The blast and a block from Boychuk as he went out to confront Murray.
He blocked one last shift that went up over the glass. It was a dangerous shot. He lays out again.
He limps back to the Boston bench. Foligno closes right through to McKenzie, the backhander from Umberger, and the goal comes off its pegs. I believe Dan O'Rourke is signaling the faceoff is going to come outside the zone.
Yeah, Foligno arguing the case, but he's not going to win the argument. Boychuk lays out almost like a double pad stack that you see the old-time goaltenders make when they make stops. Now, the Bruins did a nice job as you take a look at the shot clock. I don't know if that caught him outside of the shin pad area. That's what it looked like. But Campbell did a nice play defensively. Rotated back to the point on the pinch by Boychuk. He just couldn't complete the pass to go across the ice. And when the puck hit in the defensive zone, Rask handled the puck, went indirect behind the net. And Columbus was able to force the turnover. And that forced the shot block by Boychuk.
Adam McQuaid, far side, tips it forward for Eriksson, makes sure he gets it out of the zone to Bergeron. Bergeron a little too far forward for Riley Smith. Smith gets spun around and down. Smith working back to the half boards. Wisniewski feeds it out of there. McQuaid takes it in the Boston zone. Erickson with Bergeron. Smith high in the zone. Puck rattles around. And here comes Jenner. Smith cuts off his angle and throws it in deep. Any speculation as to why Smith skated that shift where Marchand usually is? Because here's Marchand on Kelly's line.
Yeah, I made that point earlier in the period. This is the way they're going. They've been doing this pretty consistently here in the third period.
Just to get him going.
Yep. And maybe get Marchand's attention.
Kelly bounces the puck across for Caron. Caron keeps the feet moving all the way to the end boards. Jack Johnson locks him up. Ryan Johansson works it out. Marchand knocks the puck down. Johansson all over Marchand. Johansson gains the line, spins it cross ice. Caron goes back to pick it up, absorbs the hit.
That hurt.
Prout fires it cross ice, and Caron doubled over. Will glide out of it.
And that's the right play. He's unsure of what he has to the middle. Several shifts ago, Lucic, good pressure, momentum on Columbus' side. They're in the Bruin zone, 3-4 shifts in a row, and Lucic tries to make a play to the middle of the ice, and it's a turnover. Caron doesn't want to make that play. He's 10 feet inside that blue line. That's a danger area. You got to keep that puck protected, and if you don't have a play, eat it, take the hit, make sure the puck gets into the neutral zone. You pay a little bit of a price sometimes, but it's the right play.
There is no out of bounds in this game, is there? I've been looking for it. But speaking of that, Johnny Boychuk back on the ice. And there he is with the puck. The quick one-touch pass to Lucic. Lucic carries over the line. The shot handcuffs Bobrovsky. Lucic shoulder to shoulder against Prout with a great hit in the corner. Here's Chara along the line to Boychuk. Boychuk settling the puck. Chara walks in. The blast hits a body in front. Still loose. And Bobrovsky dives on it before Lucic can pull his stick loose.
Real nice job. It starts with the wrist shot by Lucic. Well, actually, starts with Boychuk with the quick up. And then Lucic in a one-on-one able to get a pretty good wrist shot away. And then it's puck pursuit. And you take hits to make plays, and Lucic is able to do that. And now they've worked the puck back to the points. The points have been open consistently all afternoon. And it's a beautiful return pass. It's hard because it has to be from Boychuk across to Chara. Chara's able to walk in almost top of the circle to let his bomb go.
Dubinsky wins the faceoff away from Lucic. Savard knocks the puck through the corner. Lucic rotating out high, keeps it in the attacking zone and throws it deep as we click towards 6 minutes to go. Gaborik holds, sends Dubinsky ahead. He's got Atkinson on the wide side against Seidenberg. Atkinson shot, kick, saved by Rask. Seidenberg can't clear past Atkinson. Lucic along the wall, anticipating the dump in deep. Lucic eluding Gaborik, now firing it cross ice. The Bruins in the middle of a change as Iginla exits with Thornton coming on. David Savard crisscrossing as Foligno goes behind him. Savard carrying around Paille and strokes the backhand in. It's going to be icing.
Now Savard was astride from the red line and didn't get there. Bruins doing a nice enough job in center ice to force this icing call. They've already used their timeout. Bruins should line up. Let's go. Drop the puck. Let's keep the pressure on up ice with 5.5 minutes to go in this hockey game with a 1-goal lead.
Campbell and Dubinsky. Dubinsky wins another important defensive zone draw for Columbus. Here comes Foligno working towards Seidenberg. Foligno flicks the puck down the wall. Now here's Campbell taking the Foligno hit to move the puck to Seidenberg. Thornton right where he should be. Kicks to the stick. Gets a little bit fortunate as Umberger skates past it. Paille snaps it through the corner. Paille going in with speed to challenge against Wisniewski. Now Derek McKenzie turns away from Thornton. Paille's the next layer. Here's Bartkowski pinching down. The Bruins with some good forechecking and keeping Columbus bottled up when the Blue Jackets need to bring pressure at Tuukka Rask's end of the ice. Foligno, the diagonal. Seidenberg with the reach. The puck dives for Murray. It's a delayed offside call. No, they're going to call a hand pass, pardon me, against Columbus. 4:54 to go in the game. The Bruins out shooting Columbus 31-25. It'll be winning time when the game resumes.
Monday afternoon at 12:30, catch up with Dale and Barry when WB Mason presents Bruins Face Off Live. They'll get you ready before the Bruins host the Red Wings for the second time in 10 days. And they'll take a look at some of the offseason changes to the TD Garden. All that and more Monday at 12:30.
And if you're going to the game, get there early because Milt Schmidt's going to drop the ceremonial first puck as the Bruins in their 90th year honor each decade in which the team has played, and that'll be honoring the 1940s. And Milt played in the 1940s. What a tremendous guy. R.J. Umberger, one hand on the stick, shielding the puck away from Krug. Here's Wisniewski. Chips it in. Umberger swoops off the end boards, gives to Foligno. Krug bangs him. Foligno picks up the self-pass, drops it off. A good cycle with Johansson. Krug pokes the puck away. Bergeron down to one knee to get it forward to Eriksson. Holding is the call. Holding the stick is the call. And Umberger looking toward the scoreboard with 4.5 to go. Columbus will be shorthanded.
Yeah, it's Johansson that's going to go to the box. The Bruins are real good coverage. Even though Columbus has possession in the offensive zone, they don't allow any point shots because the wingers are doing their job. And then Bergeron in great coverage with his two defensemen, Krug and McQuaid. A nice little exchange, good communication. Keep your check between you and your net. And then win those battles. That's the strength of the Bruins defensively, or one of their strengths. And Bergeron able to free that puck up. He couldn't make a play on it because Johansson had a hold of the stick.
Bergeron helps the team in so many ways. 4.5 minutes to go, and either the Bruins are going to score or they're going to have a man advantage for 2 of those minutes. Rask controls the puck. McGinley gains the line. He's out there with Lucic, Chara, Krejci, and Krug. Dubinsky holds the puck and flutters it through the neutral zone. Sergei Bobrovsky, it's early. It's just game 4 for Columbus, but he has faced more shots this afternoon than he has faced in any single game. 31 at the moment. Bruins unable to get a clean entry. Here comes McKenzie with a stick handling move. Krug and Krejci back.
Krug wasn't back initially. He's got to get back in that situation. You can't leave David Krejci back there alone in a shorthanded situation trying to play D one-on-one. I don't care how good you are. That's a forward back there. Krug needs to hustle back there, make sure that that doesn't happen.
Less than a minute to go on the power play, which hasn't been too powerful yet. Bergeron saucers the pass. Chara catches it on the far board. Draws Dubinsky to Boychuk. The drive saved by Bobrovsky. Comes out of the goal. And Eriksson with the pirouette move, and Bobrovsky makes a recovery save. Louis Eriksson with a quick turn and got it right back on goal.
A heads-up play by Bergeron to establish offensive zone presence and then work the puck from one side to the other. Ginla on the initial rush. He doesn't have a play through center, so he carries it across the blue line. That's all well and good. But then you zip the puck wide. He had Lucic on the far side. Bergeron able to gain entry, and then you move the puck to the wide side. Chara gets it. They slow it down. They set up Boychuk for the big drive. The second chance opportunity's there. And Eriksson puts it right on goal.
Finding a way to get the puck around Dalton Prout, the defenseman, and get it on goal. Seidenberg reads the pass, low for Bergeron. Bergeron throws it right through the slot and through the legs of David Savard. Boychuk on goal, save, rebound, bounces up on Bergeron. He clubs it down. It's going to be ruled a hand pass. The faceoff will come outside the zone with 8 seconds to go on Johansson's holding the stick penalty.
A couple opportunities with this man advantage to almost put this game away with a power play goal and extend that lead to 2. But just over 2.5 minutes to go, 8 seconds on the man advantage. Little clock management here the rest of the way.
Bruins with 3 shots on goal during this power play, which in terms of shots on goal has been their most productive power play of the day. Right in front, Eriksson rings the post. He had Bobrovsky down and out. But it hit iron off the feed from Riley Smith.
Yeah, what a great play by Smith. Avoided contact in order to get puck possession, then made a perfect pass.
Boychuk bunts the puck ahead. Now Riley Smith won one job in camp. Maybe he's winning another one this afternoon. Here's Artem Anisimov working Chara's side of the ice. Turns away from the flow right in front. Gaborik, and Rask makes the save of the day. Tuukka Rask keeps the Bruins ahead. Marian Gaborik, 3 times a 40-goal scorer. Twice he's scored 42 in his career, but Rask turns him back here.
Loose coverage by Boston. If they have a vulnerability, it's when that puck comes down the wing, and the defenseman allows you to have that area waiting for the back pressure, but plays can be made there. Now you have 2 Bruins. The minute Chara commits, Caron's right there with him. That means somebody's going to be open. They're able to get that puck to Gaborik in a goal-scoring area, but Tuukka Rask, that save he made on Letestu late in the period, who said it was his most important save, well, he just one-upped it right there.
Yeah. Bidding is not over in this auction. Dubinsky having a little discussion about Chris Kelly's technique, but he gets tossed out of the faceoff, and Kelly wins it cleanly from Umberger. McQuaid just drives the puck in deep. With less than 2 minutes to go, the Bruins want to keep Bobrovsky pinned between the pipes. Fedor Tyutin absorbs the bump from Caron to get it to Dubinsky. Now Foligno, wing to wing. Jack Johnson gains the Boston line. Soft backhand in on Rask. He'll take the defensive zone faceoff. And with 1:30 to go, Bobrovsky starts skating slowly toward the Columbus bench. It appears the Blue Jackets will pull the goalie right now.
And why not? Minute and a half to go. Offensive zone draw. No better time. Bruins will definitely counter with 2 centermen. Bergeron, Krejci making their way out onto the ice. The importance of faceoffs. The Bruins value it probably as much, if not more, than any other team in the league, and they're one of the best at it.
Dubinsky wins another draw. Wisniewski shovels the puck to Dubinsky right across the slot. And it caroms off the corner boards all the way back to center. 1:20 to go in the game. James Wisniewski looks north and south. Gaborik fresh off the bench. It hits the linesman, rattles down. The play is ruled offside. The Blue Jackets and their faithful do not like it.
We got to be careful, Dubinsky. Dubinsky's going right to where they're saying the linesman was. This puck was already in the Bruins' defensive zone. That's why they didn't want an offside call. The linesman felt that he was straddling the blue line, and after the contact was made with him, that's why he blew the play down to be offside. It's not an argument you're going to win, but
but Dubinsky was
they may
right.
have a case.
Dubinsky was right, absolutely. Well, you've said it before. The players know. But they also know they're not going to change that call. Boychuk slings one in on Bobrovsky. A minute to go. Bobrovsky looking to come to the Columbus bench once again. Here's Gaborik on the off wing against Chara. Throws it into the middle. Krejci is there, but he can't clear the zone. The extra skater on. Jack Johnson across the line. Here's Atkinson's shot going off the end boards. Dubinsky picks it up. Boychuk can't find it. Rask paddles it wide. Boychuk gets knocked down, and Dubinsky just sits on it. Chara comes out of the corner, hoists it aerial past the red line. 35 seconds to go. Lucic scores! The puck bouncing up on Jack Johnson, and Milan Lucic whacks the backhander in. The Bruins get an empty netter to go up 3-1 and put a lock on it.
Probably won't get an assist on this play, but Johnny Boychuk, in a battle, prone to the ice, allows Chara the time and the ability and the angle to come in and pick up this loose puck behind the net. Boychuk's going to seal off the short side. Now he's in a one-on-one battle. Lays out on the ice. Doesn't allow Dubinsky possession. Allows Chara to come in. And now Chara has time and space to use that high lob. And Lucic doing exactly what he should do. Put pressure on the puck carrier. And that puck's been on edge a whole lot this afternoon. And Jack Johnson can't corral it. And just that little sweep check hits the open net for Lucic.
Fedor Tyutin. Past Riley Smith. Bergeron intercepts a centering pass. And that will just about bleed the clock dry.
Bergeron just plays buzzer to buzzer, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, this game is really over. A little mishandled by Rask, but there's Bergeron right where he should be.
McQuaid in the corner, celebrating his 27th birthday. Bergeron slings it around. Tuukka Rask was huge in the third period, facing a desperate Columbus team. The save of the game brought to you by Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? Tuukka Rask making this stop on Marian Gaborik. Gaborik taking the feed with just a couple of minutes to go, and he had the clean shot. Rask denying him and staying calm as ever. 4 games played by the Bruins, 1 goal against in each of the 4, and the Bees bounce back with a hard-fought win. Dale?
And lots to talk about here as we've got an afternoon game to break down for you. Coming up on Ace Ticket Bruins Overtime Live, Bruins get their first road win this afternoon in Columbus. They've got 3 more to come next week. Claude Julien will go one-on-one with Jamie Erdahl. And we'll look ahead to Monday's matinee, Columbus Day matinee at the Garden against the Detroit Red Wings. Ace Ticket Bruins Overtime Live coming up after the game.